Well, our first guest has written dozens of novels, short stories, comic books, and screenplays, but his latest work may be his most personal yet. Here to share the story behind Hole in the Sky, we welcome back Portland author Daniel H. Wilson. Good to have you with us
hey, thanks for
again.
having me.
Okay, first of all, talk to me about Hole in the Sky.
Yeah, so it's a native story of first contact with an alien entity. It takes place on tribal land in northeastern Oklahoma, where I grew up in the Cherokee Nation. And it really follows the viewpoints of three main characters. You have a CIA weapons analyst who's kind of your typical response to an alien invasion.
Right.
And then there's a NASA astrophysicist who kind of wants to understand what's happening. And then there's a Cherokee guy who lives where first contact happens. And he's a father who's reuniting with his daughter, and he's determined to just keep his family alive.
And he's going through some alcohol problems,
yeah,
right?
So he's had trouble with alcohol, he's lost a child, and that character has really sort of been separated from his culture and tradition because he feels forsaken. He's had all these really terrible things happen. And so this is one more thing that happens.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he goes through the crucible of this experience and you know, has to find a way to keep his family whole.
Tell me about the reason for the viewpoint from the native viewpoint, because that's extremely important and relevant to this story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at most alien invasion movies, the aliens show up and they want to extract our resources, or they blow up our monuments and destroy our culture, or they take over our bodies. And really, I see that as kind of a fear projection that the aliens are going to show up and do to our society what colonizers have done to indigenous people, you know, throughout history. And so I really thought it was time.
That's a huge statement right there.
Yeah.
It's huge. Okay.
I mean, that's what we expect, right?
Yeah.
We look up there and we see our own reflection sort of in the cosmos. And so I thought it was time to have kind of a native perspective on that, a native perspective on first contact. And so, yeah, the Cherokee character is one of three characters that have sort of three different perspectives on the unknown.
And tell me about, so your personal experience on a reservation in Tulsa. Tell me about that and how we'll see it manifest in the book.
Yeah, so I'm a Cherokee citizen. I grew up in North Tulsa in the Cherokee Reservation, and I spent my summers at my grandmother's farm, which was our original Indian allotment that was left over from after forced removal.
Yeah.
And it was really, I spent so much time out there, and it was really just a few miles from this really ancient, mysterious place called Spiro, which is a town that has the Spiro Mounds. And so that's the westernmost outpost of the mound builder civilization, this precursor civilization that came before the North American tribes that we know today.
Wow.
And these are burial mounds. They're full of artifacts. They've been plundered in the past, but it's really just this ancient place. It's really mysterious. There's all this ceremony and all these things that happen there that we really don't know about anymore.
Yeah.
And they're laid out, the mounds are built in the same pattern as the Pleiades constellation. So the Seven Sisters. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of astrological, astronomical things that are happening there, and it's just seemed like such a cool place to set this.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so I want you to talk to me, though, about being with the Air Force, a threat forecaster, and what that's crazy, what that means.
So, yeah, I had this opportunity as a science fiction author. I joined the Blue Horizons program for the United States Air Force, where they bring in science fiction authors and they pair them with an analyst, and you get briefed on interesting technology that the Air Force is maybe worried about. And so then you craft a super realistic threat scenario that's fiction. You know, it's like a story.
Sure.
And this is much easier for people to read and understand what the threat could be from that technology, as opposed to just reading a technical paper with a bunch of technical specifications. And so, yeah, so I did that, and I had the opportunity to go to these security conferences and meet some people and realize that the Air Force is really seriously worried about unidentified anomalous phenomena. So what we used to call UFOs.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking, I mean, what if first contact really happened?
Yeah.
You know, what are we going to expect? What's our perspective on the unknown? And, mostly I think we'd be afraid, right?
Yeah.
But I think there are other perspectives where, especially indigenous perspectives about living sort of in peace with the unknown and respecting it. And so I really wanted to have all of those points of view in the novel.
Incredible. Okay, let's also talk about what's also incredible. Netflix already says, hey, let's make a movie.
Yeah, so I had, I started out writing this novel. I pitched it to my friend Sterling Harjo, who's an awesome director and writer. He did Reservation Dogs.
Which is such a great show.
Just did The Lowdown, which everyone should watch. It's Ethan Hawke, it's so great. And so Sterling and I, we walked the mounds together. We talked about it. While I was writing the novel, we pitched it to Netflix, and they bought it. And so I've just adapted it, and I've just turned in the screenplay, and let's hope they like it.
Yeah.
And let's hope they make it, because I have a long, tragic history of movies that have almost been made.
But isn't that the way it always is, though? Like when I talk to authors whose other books have been made into screenplays, that they kind of sit there for a while, and then all of a sudden they're being made.
You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe one of these days. But
and didn't Steven Spielberg, he's optioned one of yours.
So my first novel, Robopocalypse, went to Amblin with Steven Spielberg, and it is still there.
Yeah. But you have conversations with Steven.
I mean, it's really an amazing thing to have had this long-term relationship. Would I have preferred the movie just get made?
Yeah.
I don't know. So that is still in the works, So there are still new scripts on that, and sometimes it just takes a decade.
Yeah. Well, and what is it like to write versus writing a book, writing a screenplay?
Sure. So I mean, first of all, with this, I knew that Hole in the Sky, I was going to adapt it for a screenplay.
Okay,
so
going into it, you knew that. Okay.
I decided to take it easy on myself and just write a novel that would be easy to adapt, right?
Okay.
So, with a screenplay, though, everything's much more visual. The dialogue is much more dialed in, and you have to do 5 things in every scene at the same time. And a novel also, I get to do it by myself, so I kind of get to call my own shots. The screenplay is much more of a collaboration. It's got a lot more Sterling in it. And I mean, it's a great thing. It's so much fun to watch it evolve.
I'm curious what your family thinks of it. They must be so proud of the idea that this is from a Native viewpoint.
Yeah, I mean, my kids go back to Oklahoma to go to Cherokee camp, and we go back every year for our annual family sweat lodge. And so, they didn't grow up in the reservation, but they're out here in Portland. But yeah, it's really special to be able to take that sort of family heritage and put it into a book.
Right.
Especially because I write science fiction, and people think of the future with science fiction.
Right.
And typically when they think of Native people, they're thinking of the past.
True.
And so it's really a pleasure to show Native people in the future, saving the world, and in science fiction. You
have a book event tomorrow at Powell's at 7 p.m., which is very exciting. We're going to put all that information for everyone on our website. Of course, Powell's is on 10th and West Burnside. We'll put all of that on our website at k2.com. The book, again, is titled Hole in the Sky. Daniel H. Wilson, thank you so much, and congrats on all your success.
Thank you.